In the past couple years, I've come to discover a special love that I have for performing solo music. It allows for a certain type of expression that is freeing and powerful. In this recital, I aim to showcase what the violin is capable of achieving all on its own, and I hope you experience the magic and wonder that this instrument can offer. For this recital, I explored a great amount of new music. The pieces I have chosen to play are a collection of my very favorites. You will hear 7 solo pieces by 5 living American composers. I owe credit to the wonderful violinist Jennifer Coe for inspiration and direction in programming this recital. Coe has commissioned numerous works for the violin through her projects in the last 10 years. The first portion of today's program includes 3 selections from Coe's project, Shared Madness. This project is rooted in respect to the Paganini Caprices, which are arguably some of the most technically difficult music in the solo violinist's repertoire. They are often considered a staple representation of a violinist's virtuosity. For the Shared Madness project, Coe commissioned 32 works for solo violin and asked the composers to reflect on the question, what does modern-day virtuosity mean to you? Each composer has offered to write a solo violin work exploring the relationship between the violinist and the instrument. Paganini wrote a landmark set of 24 caprices that explored virtuosity on the violin at the beginning of the 19th century, and this group of composers is exploring the meaning of virtuosity in the 21st century. The first piece I will play is Zany, Cute, Interesting by Vijay Iyer. The composer Vijay Iyer found inspiration for this piece in the book Our Aesthetic Categories, which explores mixed feelings that often accompany contemporary culture. Iyer describes this piece as a composition that stages a violin performance that might support a similar range of reactions, offering an ambivalence around the notion of virtuosity. Throughout the performance, listen as the piece moves through 3 sections of music: zany, cute, and interesting. Next, I will play Painting the Floors Blue by John Harbison. This piece is based on the jazz song All For You, written by John and Meg Harbison. When discussing virtuosity in an interview with Jennifer Coe, Harbison said, "In this piece, I wanted to express that I see the essence of virtuosity as a step beyond quickness and facility to something more like comfort with the instrument and improvisatory embrace of the musical material." He says a virtuoso should be able to impose their own personality on the music they perform. Here is Painting the Floors Blue by John Harbison. Shall I Project a World by Christopher Cerrone. Cerrone found inspiration for this piece in the novella The Crying of Lot 49. In the story, the main character finds herself on a long journey in search of details about her husband's recent death. However, every time she discovers some clue, it reveals a more complex situation than she imagined. At some point, she wonders if all the strange things that have happened to her were simply a product of her imagination. Christopher Cerrone says that he was struck by this notion, the idea of someone digging deeper and deeper only to find more depth, and that he tried to channel this in his work for Jennifer Coe. The tessitura and harmonies of the work start simply and expand very gradually, revealing a path that at first traces slowly downward, and then when it cannot go any further downward, soars upward, exploring the enormous range of the violin. Here is Shall I Project a World by Christopher Cerrone. Dissolve, O My Heart by Missy Mazzoli. This piece was written for the Jennifer Coe project Bach and Beyond. It begins with the first chord of Bach's chaconne, which is the only direct quote from the partita. Mazzoli has explained that that first chord anchors the entire piece, even as it threatens to spiral out of control and spins into an off-kilter series of chords that double back on itself, collapse, and ultimately dissolve in a torrent of fast passages. Dissolve, O My Heart, the title, comes from an aria in the St. John's Passion, but has many possible interpretations. Here is Dissolve, O My Heart by Missy Mazzoli. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Jennifer Coe created a project called Alone Together. This was a commissioning project that brought composers together in support of the many freelancers among them. Hail, Horrors, Hail by Missy Mazzoli is a piece from this project. Mazzoli found inspiration in a passage from Milton's Paradise Lost. Farewell, happy fields, where joy forever dwells. Hail, horrors, hail. Infernal world, and thou profoundest hell, receive thy new possessor, one who brings a mind not to be changed by place or time. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Here is Hail, Horrors, Hail by Missy Mazzoli. For Violin Alone by Vijay Iyer. This piece is another selection from the Alone Together project. Iyer has described this short piece as both an etude and a meditation. The final line uses notes from a jazz standard also titled Alone Together. Here is For Violin Alone by Vijay Iyer. The final piece on this recital is Rhapsody No. 1 by Jessie Montgomery. I'm finishing this program with Rhapsody No. 1 because it has a special essence and soulfulness that I love. Rhapsody No. 1 draws inspiration from the Iyer solo violin works and is intended to serve as both an etude and a stand-alone work. This piece is intended to be a part of a set of 6 solo violin works, each of which will be dedicated to a different contemporary violinist and inspired by a historical composer. I hope you enjoy Rhapsody No. 1 by Jessie Montgomery.